welcome to Rocket Football and the Sean Thompson Coaches Show. And we may change the name of it. He wants to now be the coach formerly known as Sean Thompson. Would like to be known as Coach Sean right now.
Sean.
Just Coach Sean. I know they call Joe Morris down at Mayfield Coach Joe, so maybe
Coach
that's
Joe.
where that's coming from.
I'm just
I don't
trying
know.
to mimic his success.
All right, we got a great show on Murray High School, a team that was 8-4 last year, and they're 2-0 right now. They're going to come to Crittenden County. And Coach Thompson, we're going to get right into this, but I want to begin by saying we want to thank our sponsors, particularly Whitetail Property, which is our primary sponsor for the Coaches Show and for all the broadcasts we do along with Rocket Football. I want to remind everybody to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And don't forget, now, Friday night, 6:40, we'll have on Facebook Live. We will have the sideline show. And that'll get you started for the game. We'll have Ken on the air, live broadcast, play-by-play with the crew at 6:55. So be sure and tune in. A lot of good comment last week about the guys, their inaugural show. So
Yeah, it was really good. I went back and watched it. I didn't watch it straight through, but I watched some of the first half, some of the second half. They did a really good job. Those guys, they claim to know me really well. Appreciate them catching my fit, though, but I just got to be aware that...
Yeah, you did throw a little bit of fit there in the second half, but I'm not going to say it was unwarranted either. I'm down there. I have a very close observation point most of the time, usually in your hip pocket.
Yeah, I'm going to always fight for the kids, so sometimes it may seem like I'm going a little far with it, but it's always for the kids. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that makes it acceptable, but... that's the intention every time.
Now, the big question is, you got a 15-yard penalty. The week before, I know the kids really had to run for their 120 yards of penalties, but this past week you had 15. Did you run 15 laps or 15?
So the way I took care of it, to make it fair, is I took my penalty off.
You took
their
your
total, so they had a total of 5.
Oh. So you didn't have to run.
We're not done.
Okay.
And I took those 15 yards that I had off of it as well. So we did 5 50-yard sprints back to back to back to back, and I sprinted them with it.
Sprinted with them. All right. Fair enough. That sounds good.
The last time I get a penalty. I'm still sore.
Would you like to wager, just a friendly wager, a Coca-Cola or something like that on it?
We can do it each week before I see who the officials are.
There we go. All right. Also want to mention before we get started, a few of our sponsors, Shara Solutions on the New York Stock Exchange, Hometown Realty, where when you're buying and selling real estate, Farmers Bank, your trusted hometown bank since 1899. Riley Tool and Machine, they're grinding away every Friday night. And First United Bank, they're on North Main Street in Marion. Stop by and see Charlie Day and the crew down there. Coach Thompson, Murray High is a good football team. They've beaten Webster County and beaten Trigg. Basically, both of them are shutouts. I think Trigg scored on the last play of the game or something in that one. But otherwise, it's 41-0. Yeah. So what do you got on Murray? We know they have Sebastian Lawrence and a pretty good quarterback.
For sure, they're pretty good all around. Their kids are well coached and they do their job. You can just see watching film that they know what they're supposed to do and they just do it. They believe in their system and the kids do a good job making it happen. They have a really good player in Sebastian Lawrence who will play both sides of the ball up front for them on the offensive line and defensive line, and he'll be the best player that we have played against to date this year. And Murray will be probably the toughest team that we played today. Probably right there in line with Caldwell County. They play however many times. They probably go back and forth, 50-50. So they're going to be a really tough game for us. We're just going to come out and make sure we don't make the same mistakes we've made in the first two.
Well, you mentioned they 50-50. That's the way they were last year. Caldwell County beat Murray during the regular season, but then Murray flipped it on them in the playoffs, which district championship against Mayfield, where many seasons are ended for a lot of teams. But usually it's Murray because they're in the same class 2A quite often. They're head to head all the time. But you also talked about Sebastian Lawrence. Now he's on the line. He's a nose guard. He plays on the line of scrimmage on offense. But they also put him in the backfield and run a jumbo package where it's what we call it monster.
Yeah, that's how athletic he is. We do the same package with Xander, and he's a defensive lineman / lineman that is athletic enough to be able to go back there and make plays in that. And theirs is a little different than ours in the sense that they're coming at you a lot more aggressive than we are, and we're really just trying to create chaos in space. And he's tough.
When he gets going downhill, he's
going downhill. He's a big load. But hey, that fits into what our defense is good at, and what falls into our strengths as far as being able to start the run and stuff. So I think that we'll be able to hold our own in that set.
Is this the high-low theory this week? Hit him high and hit him low.
Let's get there and hold on. That's it. Take care of it. Run to the football.
Of course, he's a guy that's been widely touted in West Kentucky. I think Ball State maybe has shown some interest in him, and some other lower-level D1 team.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Long, for sure. He's got a long list. Yeah. I don't know specifically the schools that are looking at it. I just know he's got a nice long list of offers.
Of course, they have a quarterback. Now, his first name is Rowdy.
Yeah.
I forget Sokolowski.
Okay.
Yeah, Rowdy Sokolowski.
Okay.
That's their quarterback.
Yeah.
And he can throw it, and he can run it pretty good, too.
Yeah, for sure. He's the guy, we scrimmaged them last year, and I'm pretty sure this is the guy that we actually scrimmaged against because their starter last year was injured at that time. And he's very precise with his balls. He makes great decisions, and he does add that element of being able to run at the quarterback position. It makes it a little more difficult on defenses. So, he's a guy that we have to account for on the defensive side of the ball. And Coach Courtney's done a good job coming up with a game plan. Now we just have to go out and execute it.
And like I said, he threw for 211 against Trigg, and I think he ran for a couple of touchdowns. But then they have another guy, Carvel or Charvel, McAllister. This is a little different than our McAllister. This one has 2 L's in it.
Yeah.
But he's a real good football player, running back.
Yeah. He's again, we've got experience against him. He's a scat back type. Gets in space, and it could be a big play. So we got to make sure that we keep the space around him, football, and wrap up. So they got guys at every level that can hit the home run. They're an explosive team, or can be an explosive team. We just got to make sure we limit the big plays and limit our mistakes.
Mm-hmm. I want to take a quick break here and recognize some of our sponsors for the show. Deer Lakes Golf Course, that's where the Rocket Golf team plays its games. Sea Plant Federal Credit Union, they're now on Main Street in Marion. Johnson's Furniture, your top choice for sales and service. Ellington Detailing, where we keep your rocket rigs looking sharp. And Par 4 Plastics, where our team is rocket proud. Coach Thompson, this Murray, I just want to say Murray State, this Murray High, and it's kind of funny. When you talk about Murray out in the community, it's always been High or Mayfield High. But Murray, because of that Murray State connection, you want to make sure you throw that high on there, that suffix, so that we're talking Murray High School. So you'll hear that a lot and see it in print even. But they have pretty good defense. You mentioned the Lawrence boys on defense. He's a load up front, right in the middle. But then this McAllister, they just started playing him last week in defense because the Youngblood boy got hurt, who's also their long snapper. And he really showed out, I think, on defense. But they've got a lot of good defense, a lot of good seniors up front too.
Yeah, that's what they have a lot of experience on the defensive side of the ball. Those guys in scrimmage, they do what we do, and you know how effective that defense, the chaos it can cause for offenses. But the good thing is we see that every year when we're preparing, that's what we see. So it's not like we were preparing so much for Murray's defense as much as it's just going up against in practice all week, something that we've seen. They don't do everything exactly how we do it. They have their own twist on it and things that they do, but we know that defense pretty well, and hopefully we can take advantage of that. But in order to do that, we have to go out and execute, and we can't continue to make the same plays that are mistakes that we've made the first 2 weeks. And it seemed like it got better last week, but not necessarily. We average like 2.5 yards on first down. That's not good
acceptable
when you think about how many first downs in 2 games you start however many series, and then when you get first downs of 60, 35, another 30-yarder and a 20-something yarder in that counted in that, and we're still that low on an average. That play is our biggest penalty down.
Tells you you're playing behind the sticks a lot of time on first down. That's tough.
It's never good, and we're not built in what we do to play behind the sticks.
Never have been.
No. So we got to make sure that we execute on first down. That's going to be a big key for us offensively this week. And with what they do, the chaos they create, that can be hard sometimes.
There was a time when the staple Murray High School, you knew they were going to run a 50 defense, pro style offense, and split backs and stuff. That's all changed now.
Yeah, Coach Hodge has done a good job of going into a place with athletes and putting them in space and putting them in position to make plays and taking advantage of the athletes that they have. Before, what I remember Murray is having is being kind of like Union County and you have your guy and we're gonna run at you and we're gonna run that horse until he dies. But Coach Hodge, watching what he does on offense and how he's done things with Murray, however many years he's been there, has been exciting because the athletes in space. I'm intrigued by athletes in space, and he does a good job of getting those guys there.
Of course, you're talking about Coach Keith Hodge, who's Murray High's coach, has been since I think 2014, 15, around there. Been there quite a while. Replaced Coach Duncan down there, but not to be mistaken with our own Dennis Hodge's father, which is also Keith Hodge. But when you say Coach Hodge, a lot of people are going to conjure up that image.
It was weird for me to say. When it came out of my mouth, I was like,
is that right? Quick break here and also recognize some of our sponsors. How about Coach? He's now at Coldwell Banker, and he has a real estate license, and he's always a rocket. So when you are interested in moving or buying property, particularly down around the lakes or even around here in the community, he does some work up in here too all the time. So Coach Al Starnes, H&H Home and Hardware, that's your everything store in Marion, Kentucky. Marion Eye Care Center with optometrist Adria Porter. Frazier and Massey Law Firm here in Marion, Kentucky. And Magnolia Bank. Derek Myers is your mortgage specialist, and he's also the boom specialist. He's going to get his first chance to cock that cannon and shoot some fireworks this week early.
Yeah, hopefully we light this guy up.
Early. Okay. Let's go. You mentioned some of the things on as far as our team is concerned. So we focused on Murray. Now let's get over and let's talk about Crittenden County. We'll talk about the offensive side of the ball. Luke Crider threw a touchdown pass last week. He had two touchdown passes last week. Also had 2 more interceptions. So in 2 games, he's had 5 interceptions. And I know, those are things when you throw the ball around, those are going to happen. But we got to start cutting them down. We want to see more. Talk about his progression as a quarterback this year after he came on and started late last year.
Yeah, so Luke is still on schedule where he needs to be, and I know it looks bad if you look at it on paper or if you come and watch the first and the second game, and it's easy to put it on his shoulders, and a lot of the things that he's gone through this year are not necessarily all his fault. You get put in situations and you're coached to do things, and everything's got to go right. When you're learning, and it's easy to blame him, but I'm going to say firsthand, it's not all him. It takes 11 to make it go, and we fixed some things. We fixed some things coming out of the first game. That was a struggle. It had more to do with protection. Our protections were backwards, and so it feels a little different, even if the pressure's not there. We also faced a really good Caldwell County defensive line. But him getting out of the pocket and not being able to look down the field is where a lot of our issues have come up. If we can let him sit there, good quarterback, and he showed that, those improvements in Union County, and we still had a few of those mix-ups, or him seeing ghost pressure that wasn't necessarily there. And once he starts moving out of the pocket, he's still got to work on that part of his game. He's right on track with where I need him to be. He had a really good week of practice, one day really good throws, making great throws. The next day he comes in and makes very good decisions. So he's had a big week of practice, and hopefully that translates to the game this week.
You watched his efficiency go up last week, obviously, and we were successful. And then you talked about this front line. Now, what adjustments have you made? Have there been any changes personnel-wise on the front? Are you moving different kids in and out? What's going on up there that you got?
Not necessarily better. It's just making sure that you're in the right protection. If we're in a quick game play, something quick, and you're dropping 4 yards, then our offensive line might be the pressure that Luke is feeling, that makes him come off of his spot, his launching pad. And that happened a few times. So he moves or doesn't get the ball out on time because of what he's feeling from our offensive line. So his drop and their drop didn't match. And we just can't make those mistakes. We can't do that. Or we one or two of our guys doing a quick protection and then everybody else doing the concept down the field type protection. And that creates those alleys for defenders to get through. And we just got to make sure that we stay on the same page. And it's communication is what it is. The only personnel change is instead of starting Holden Cooks, he's coming in and subbing with his issues.
Asthma,
yeah,
he was huffing and puffing on the sideline
he's
last
just
week.
struggling to be. He can't go for long periods of time, so it has nothing to do with his ability to play.
No.
It's just more that we don't want him in that situation because I'm sure it's scary for him as much as it is everyone else. When you see him in that situation, he can't help it until we figure out what's going on. But he loves football and he wants to play football, and he's not. We want to put him in a situation to be successful. So you'll see Counts continue to play that position for the majority of the time, and we'll use Cooksey off the sideline to come in and retrieve him or spell him at times.
Adjustments, any injuries that might create somebody else stepping up, going to get some more downs?
And Coach Courtney does a good job of creating that on defense. I think you'll see Trace Darrington continue to get a little more time in secondary with the way he works and as he starts to catch on to things. And then another one that I've noticed getting more work and practice in the secondary is Bryson Baker. As his confidence is growing on the outside on offense, that's allowed for him to understand the game a little bit better and us not overwhelm him with both sides of the ball. This really technically being just he's only got a half a season of high school football in. So you start to see him over there, and he's really good in pass coverage. So you might see him play a little bit more. Another one you might see play a little more is Seth Gass. We saw come along last year as a freshman, making plays when he got in there, and definitely not afraid to come up and play the run. Even as a smaller statured kid.
He knows how to tackle.
He definitely knows how to tackle, and as he's starting to understand the position a little bit more, you'll see him start getting in there a little bit more. And then you still have your Coleman Stones and when your linebackers get tired, Coleman's a kid that's tough, come in and make plays for us in there. He's just got the three-headed monster in front of him. So, it's tough at being a younger guy with those linebackers in there, those three great linebackers that we have, and then Ian coming off the bench as well.
I want you to put a place marker there and bookmark this page on Bryson Baker because I want to come back to him. I want to take a quick break right here and recognize some of our partners in our broadcast for the Coaches Show, the Sideline Show, the live broadcast, the podcast we do. All these partners are responsible for making all this happen. And again, YouTube Live, don't forget, we will come on play-by-play with the crew, Crabtree, Tanner Tabor, and one of your old guys, Ethan Dossett, the old catch guy, record holder in most yards receiving. So, in one game, somebody brought that game, the Ballard game, up the other day. But those guys will be on 6:40 with your pregame sideline show, and then they will be on the air for play-by-play at 6:55. I want to thank YTG Insurance, call for a quote today, and Mike and Stoner's Barbershop, where a haircut is an experience. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's right down there. Hit your subscribe button. Very important. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're getting close to halfway, so we need a big push for that. Coach Thompson, let's come back now to Bryson Baker. I saw something in Bryson Baker last week, and I know you've seen it. He's a guy that he's a big, tall, stature guy. He's getting thicker. After the catch, he's tough to bring down.
He is. He's a lot bigger than he looks. He's got a real thick lower frame, and he's just strong. He's a kid that's just naturally strong and explosive. He can go in the gym, dunk a basketball. He's just explosive. But he just hasn't had the reps, to be comfortable with what he's doing out there. And as he starts getting those and he starts having successful plays, you see more and more coming out and him playing tougher and tougher. When the ball's in his hand, he can be a problem. We just got to make sure that he believes it, just like I believe, and that's what I tell him every day. When you believe in you, like I believe in you, then you're going to be a problem for everybody, and he's starting to get closer to that.
And we saw what kind of weapon Preston Morganson can be last week. Gosh, he went up and got that touchdown pass, and then led the team in receiving over at Union County. So he's another guy. We're going to start talking a lot more about Preston Morganson offensively.
I'm not a very good play caller if I don't make sure that Preston gets so many targets a game. Morganson.
What moves? He's got some moves.
And sometimes you got to be creative in how you get it to him, but you got to take advantage of that. And Caleb's starting to come the same way. Is those are guys you have to make sure that you're giving them opportunities because of the home run threat that they bring to the offense and being able to have that big play. So many defense is key on stopping Xander, and we have all these other guys that can really do something with it. We have to make sure that we spread it around and make sure they touch the ball as well.
And we talk about the weapons that we do have. We've hardly seen Preston Turley touch the ball or Caden McAllister, really. I mean, maybe a touch or two apiece in a game.
Yeah, that was our vision going in, to make sure that we protected those guys defensively, to be able to play defense all the time and make sure that is what's made our defense so good. Turley has been targeted a lot. We just got to make sure that we complete it, and we'll continue to target him. As I told the quarterbacks this week, probably 2 days ago, we've got a new little deal. If you miss 6'5", it's 53 yards. If you miss 6'5", you have 53 yards, elbows and toes. And then in practice, it's easier. There's no pressure. You can hit 6'5" easy. I said, well, that counts for the game too, Crider, while you're over there smiling. So every time we miss 6'5", that's 53 yards.
It's like the quarterbacks, you see the old-time shows, and they're practicing throwing through a tire, throwing through the hole in a tire hanging like a tire swing. Throwing to him's like throwing it in the lake.
Yeah, he has a big radius that he can cover, big, humongous box, and he's starting to get that mentality that if you throw it up to me, I'm going to go get it, and I'm excited about that. But the other thing we have to be able to do is put him in holes in the defense, holes in the coverage, and him sit down and catch the ball and get us 6 yards, just because he can shield someone off with the body he has. If we can sit down and put the ball on time, he becomes like a Gronkowski type. Person.
Real tight end,
yeah, and that's what we're trying to use him as. In the run game, we've run off his butt all year. He's a guy that's clearing things out. He's doing the things that people wanted to see him do.
Sure.
And he's doing it well. So we just got to make sure that we find ways to get him the ball as well too.
Well, what I'm hearing is we're 2 games into this season, which was delayed 3 weeks. We didn't get scrimmage games like we usually do. We had a very short practice preseason. So this is a work in progress, and so we're 2 weeks in. We're where we would be for the first game, and we always go to those first games saying, "Well, we're going to have first game problems."
Yeah,
so it still exists
for sure. Yeah, but our thing is the things that the problems we've had, the mistakes, the miscues, are things that are controllable. Though it's lapses and not doing what you're supposed to do or what you're coached to do or expected to do. And those are the things we have to limit. And at this point, we should be able to do that, whether it is young season that's fluid every week or not. No more excuses.
Well, Murray High 2-0 comes in to take on the 1-1 Rockets. Both teams are ranked number 7 in their respective classes. The Rockets in Class A, Murray, in Class 2A. We have our COVID screen up. I can cough and get away with it. I do turn, but we are abiding by guidelines, and you'll need to abide by guidelines Friday night.
On the screen, Chris.
Yeah, I know you can see it. It's barely. You'll need to abide by the guidelines when you come into Rocket Stadium on Friday night. First home game. This is our first run at this. All the tickets are gone, right?
The tickets are gone.
Tickets are gone. So this is a sellout. We have a sellout in the first game. Murray Tigers coming. Anything else we need to catch our fans? I know it's going to be senior recognition night.
Yeah, and that's going to start at 6:35. The gates will open at 5 o'clock, which is a little earlier than usual. But we want to make sure that we get everyone through with the process. The one thing that people can do to help is make sure their tickets are out and ready, or download them before you get to the stadium. That's one issue that I've seen at other games, that they get the email, they never go in and download the tickets. So it's important.
Download them or print them off?
You can print them off,
Or
and
just
that's
have 'em-
easier because you have the paper, and you just go over there, show the paper, they scan it, and you move on. There's no hiccup or anything. You're just good. But the downloading, the email's not enough. I know you purchased it. You know, that's we have to scan it so we get the information that you put in for our contact tracing. So
We'll see if we can't do a little video to
Yeah.
catch people up on that. Of course, this is the first time. Maybe we'll be good at it after this.
yeah, I think our parents and our fans continue to be patient with us, and we'll try to give them the best experience that we can give them.
Well, we're excited to be home for our first game this week. Murray High coming in, kickoff 7